do that.
Don't let your job pressure you into buying a car.
Don't do it. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. It's Sibo, and I know it's been a long time since I posted a video, but you know what? I'm back by popular demand, and we're back with a new series called Lessons for Life, about things they should have taught you in school but they really actually didn't. And today's topic is buying a car. And we have a guest speaker today, my twin, my friend who I forced a friendship with. Please welcome Deborah Vitellesi.
I'm joking. Wow. Hi.
Introduce yourself, who you are, what you do, and how I know you, etc.
Hi. I'm Debu. I'm Sibo's friend by force, not by choice. We met in school. I don't really know what I do, but I am employed.
We love it. We love an introduction. Okay, so as you heard, today is about buying a car. And I've only had experience with buying a used car. You've only had experience looking to buy a used car.
This is true, yeah.
So the only advice we can give you about this lesson for life is buying a used car. So when you have been looking for a car, what are the main things that you look for?
I think first and foremost is to figure out what you're using your car for, whether it's like long distance or short distance. It's obviously very exciting to get a new car because you're like, yeah. Jokes. And then budget. Are you buying it yourself? Are your parents buying it for you? Is your aunt buying it for you?
Is it going to be financed by the bank?
Where's this money coming from? How much can you put up? And I think the best advice I can give you there is to save as much as possible so you can borrow as little as possible.
That's very true. So when I bought my car is financed, so I didn't save enough because I went to stock.
Actually go places even though she's in debt.
Don't do it. Okay, so my car is financed, so when I went there, I was like, this is how much I'm willing to pay per month with it being financed. But then that amount was excluding the insurance that I would need to get, because if you're getting your car financed, you can't leave the dealership without insurance. So you have to go there with like, okay, how much am I willing to spend per month? Is it 2,000 Rand, 2,500, max amount 3,000? Then you can start negotiating there, talking to like the salespeople to like help, like for them to help you know what you're looking for, like the price range you should be going for before the finance. Okay. Another thing that I feel like is important to know: are you looking for automatic or manual?
Yeah, I guess, because that does affect the price of the
It
car
really
and
does.
also the availability.
But like 4,000 Rand.
In my personal opinion, I think everyone should go for a manual. At least drive it for like 2 to 5 years so that you know clutch control.
Yes.
And then you can go back to auto. Because my aunt, she did drive manual, then she drove auto, and then I think her courtesy car ended up being a manual. And boy, oh boy, did we struggle.
Yeah.
So I think it's just so you can get used to it. We're not saying drive auto, obviously. Drive manual. Yeah. But
get used to manual. if you're like trying to miss the pockets, then you get the manual. You're looking for if the petrol efficiency, like how much does it take on petrol? Is it a 1 liter, 1.2, 1.6, 2 liters? So you need to know how much more you're willing to spend on petrol. So I got me a 1 liter because I knew I was going to be traveling a lot. I needed like to have a petrol efficient car and stuff like that. What else do you need to do?
You also need to check like in terms of petrol. Like, look, we're not saying everybody watches Top Gear. Like, we're not all Jeremy Clarkson.
Absolutely not.
But it's worth looking into these things in terms of like, okay, so Sibu is an OT person, but she has to drive really, really far. So some cars are really good in short distance driving. So if you're like home and work in 30 minutes, like that's your vibe, then cool, you need to check how your car does with short distance petrol consumption. If you're driving like from Soweto to Pretoria every day, you need to check what your car is doing on long distance consumption. To be fair, most cars are really good with long distance consumption. You just need to check on your day-to-day running.
Yeah.
But that's all I can say. I don't really know how that shit works.
Yeah, so also looking how many seats you want your car to be. Do you want it to be a is it 4 door or 5 door?
I like using bent doors, not seats. But it's also five door. Technically, but we all know it means 4 door.
Yeah. 5 door,
Or 2 door.
Do you want boot space? Do you want Bluetooth, CD, aux, infotainment system that's like the works and stuff like that? I think that's very important actually to like look into. Okay.
I think your initial checklist should be your checklist as if you're gonna go buy a new car.
Yes.
So get the specs on it, you know, the seats, the color, what. But then you get into like second-hand car problems, which are like mileage.
Yes. Other second-hand issue that you need to like keep a lookout for is the mileage on the car. Okay, so not only the mileage but the mileage to price ratio. Is it 50-50? Are you going to be paying 120,000 rand for mileage that's 120 kilometers? That's it's not really something that you want to be doing. So I got my car at 95,000 and the mileage was 59,000. How funny is that?
Not bad. I think the only advice, so when I was going to go look, no shade to being a female body, but let's be honest, we don't really know a lot about cars. So the best thing for you to do, whether you're going on a private dealership, whatever, when you're going to look for cars, go with someone that knows a thing or two about cars.
Mm-hmm.
So I used to go like warehouse hopping with my uncle, and I remember him saying to me that a good second-hand car that's not going to give you any trouble is you cap it at 150,000 Ks, and you shouldn't be paying more than about 100,000 for it.
Yeah, definitely. So I went with my brother, and like one of his best friends was very much into cars, and like he kept advising me like about like if this mileage is like this is the price that you should be looking at. I also spoke to my best friend's dad, and he told me as well, like not over 120,000 like kilometers on the mileage, and because then it's not gonna last because it's really like had a trip around the world and stuff like that. So those are stuff like to consider, right? And then before you actually go warehouse hopping, like she said, what I did was I narrowed down what I was looking for, because you go, say for instance you go to WeBuy cars, there's so many cars. There's so many cars. So what I did like a couple of weeks before, I was like, okay, cool, let me let the experts guide me. So I watched a bunch of videos on cars.co.za and like people from like UK telling me about like car specs and stuff like that. So I did test drives via the internet, because I was a new driver. I was definitely not going to be test driving 5 cars before deciding which one to buy. So I went there and I narrowed it down to 3 cars. It was either Suzuki, a Hyundai, or a Toyota. Right? Those were the 3 cars that I had narrowed it down to. And when I got there, I knew I wanted a red car and I knew I wanted Bluetooth. And now we have Susie. So you go in there, yeah. So you go in there with like as much information as you possibly can, so that you firstly don't get overwhelmed and also don't get swindled by salesmen that are trying to make a sale. Because as much as you want to deny that doesn't exist, it does exist. Also, apparently someone told me this one time that a really good place to get secondhand cars is at auctions, but don't go there solo if you don't know anything about cars.
Or RBM, RMB, whatever. Anyway, they're at, look, it's gonna affect your insurance claim or your insurance, what.
Mm-hmm.
But cars that have been in accidents, you get them a lot cheaper. And if you get a car that's been in like a fender bender, then all you have to do is like fix up here and there, and it shouldn't affect your overall, cost of your car. It should come in really cheap. But auctions are really good ones.
Auctions are really good ones, and then
cheap, because apparently you just pay the balance of whatever the person does.
Yeah. And anything else?
No, I think you just like narrow down, and it's kind of like going to the mall unprepared.
or going to the mall hungry.
Yeah.
You
end up buying things like you're full, but then you're gonna remember there's something that you wanted, and now you regret because you can't take feedback, and it's really hard to take.
You know what I mean? It's really, especially after, because then you put it in. You don't just go, I'm gonna buy a car and you get it the same day. No, you go, you hand in your pay slips, your statements, your ID, your license, and then they have to run it and do a credit check, which we're talking about in another episode. Like do a credit check and everything, and then when they see that your credit is fine and approved, then they're like, okay, fine, this bank can finance your car, and then the process starts, and then they have to go make sure that it's roadworthy. Then they go have to make sure, because then like, yeah, it's a second-hand car, but it still has to be a good car, because if you're getting it from a warehouse, it's a reputation on the line. And then they have to get it roadworthy tested, have to do services and everything. So it's not gonna happen in a day, it's gonna take like a week and a half. So don't go and tell I'm coming with my car today. Even if you're buying it cash, it's not gonna leave the garage the same day you go for it.
Speaking of roadworthy, actually, so you obviously look, if you're going dealership, and a lot of dingy dealerships out there, there are some good dealerships out there.
You really gotta know, man.
Do your research, because if you're buying an Audi A3 for 45,000, it's a scam. You're gonna buy a car, and if you buy from a reputable dealership, it is only right for them to do a roadworthy test, which more than often not is part and parcel of the cost of the car. But even though they're going to do that roadworthy test, often enough you're just really excited that they're going to do it and it's going to check out, and then you're going to buy your car. But there are things to look out for, like your oil leakages, and whether the clutch is making a funny sound when you press it, or the brakes making funny sounds when you press it, your exhaust pipe. So my uncle was like, if you go to the exhaust at the back and you just flutter your finger over there and it comes back with black soot, then it means that you probably have an engine problem or an oil leak, and it's not going to be the great investment. Is your exhaust sort of puffing out clean smoke? Is it grey smoke? Is it black smoke? If there's smoke, generally there's a problem, but it's also like, how long is the smoke going for? Because sometimes cars just smoke. Just the interior of the car as well. I almost bought a Hyundai Grand i10. It was perfect, apart from the seats at the back. And we only discovered the problem with the seats at the back because my cousin sat in it, and the whole thing just went. Whole thing just went. We were like, yeah, no, like you could remove the entire seat to the back, but I could do it, and I don't have muscles. So yeah. So obviously do like, you know, and you did like your driver's test and they made you do it like a 10-point check or whatever. Yeah. So check your indicators, check if your brakes work, check the lights, so the floodlights and the spotlights and whatever. Your indicators, check if they work. Check
front,
if the
back, side.
Exactly. Check if the lights don't have like cracks or dents or whatever. Check if your windscreen doesn't have a crack or a dent in it.
Or also check the hood of your car as well if it's not hail damaged, because under like the warehouse lighting, they can really dim it so that you don't like really see that. So like your torch out, see that, because then that's because like sometimes it's not very easy to spot hail damage, but they can sell it very, very easy.
Also check if like all the doors lock properly, if they've got
Central
handles,
locking.
the bonnets just like sort of do a little bump on it just to check if the clip is there. Another thing that you can learn to do, because you know YouTuber's our friend, but you can also your car smart friend that's going with you, oil, water, check if those things are good, check if those things are not leaking. If they know anything about engines, they can also check that out. Yeah, just if your car's making some funny noises in the test drive. Also, I didn't do any of my test drives because I might have had my license for a really long time, but I'm also really scared of driving things that aren't mine.
Definitely.
So,
Definitely.
My
When they were like, do you want to drive?
Me,
I was like,
and he obviously knows what cars feels like, because brothers is like 60, so he's been out here driving cars. So whoever is driving the car, they just need to make sure that the car feels right.
Yeah.
That it's not oversteering, it's not understeering, things are not tight or shaky or all of those things.
So that's stuff that I didn't even think about, you know what I mean? But here I am. Susie exists.
That's why I'm a special guest.
That's why we had a special guest. She has so much information. Oh my god. You took over my channel. Okay. Yes, wicked. Anyway, guys, let us know if you did like this episode on how to buy a car. Is it how to buy a car or buying a car?
I suppose it's a how-to, because it's got a lot of like, well, you don't really need
what
to
to know when
yeah,
buying a car.
That's the one.
Yeah, like what to know. And other questions that you wish we would have answered, we'll answer them, like she'll answer them probably on
I'll probably won't on my channel. I don't have access to the comments.
but I'll let you know if you want to know.
Well, like the YouTubers say, yeah, guys, talk to each other in the comments. Ask each other questions.
No.
We can and learn together.
No.
Click on the subscribe button. So good,
That's
put it
it.
here.
We'll finish it. Okay. Okay, guys. If you did like this video, please give it a thumbs up, comment down below, and subscribe.
Alright.
Okay, guys. Thanks so much for watching. Bye. Wave to the people.